back to my channel. I know it's been a while, but this year I'm back with more faith and motherhood, sharing our journey as we go. I'm so excited you're here. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe because it's going to be a fun ride. See you soon, Mama.
Welcome back to Erban Topic, to another episode where we progress the culture forward with powerful conversation. And on this episode, we're going to highlight, spotlight, and take a step into her life experiences and journeys of Miss Kay Hughes, the wife, the mother, the business professional, the educator, and the mompreneur. Did I get it right this time?
You did.
I got it right this time.
Great job.
So Ms. Hughes, how's it going? How's it going today?
It's going good. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Listen, we are so grateful and blessed to just have you come and grace our platform with this third season, where we are highlighting and spotlighting what we call quote unquote urban leaders, people that's doing positive changes in our communities, in our families, and just in the world as a whole. So thank you for coming and sharing your story today.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Yes. So for people who may not know you, Ms. Hughes, and I know you've been broadcast a lot, just throughout social media, but let them know like who you are, where you're from, and just describe a little bit of your upbringing.
Okay, so my name is Quadacia Hughes, but on social media, digital platforms, I go by Kay Hughes. I am from a small town called Greenwood, South Carolina, and I am the oldest of 3 children. I graduated, went off to college, went to a small HBCU in Sumter, South Carolina called Morris College. Go Hornets! And what inspired me to do this? I had my son the first week of the pandemic. So actually day 6 of the pandemic, we became new parents to our son, Kobe. And when we had Kobe, you know, it was COVID, it was during the pandemic, and we were trying to find like something fun to do. Keep ourselves engaged in learning, keep ourselves engaged in professional development. So for some reason, as a new mom, this thought popped in my head, what if we run out of diapers? Because at that time, it was like shortages with diapers and things of that nature. And so I thought about cloth diapering. So when I thought about cloth diapering my son, I thought about, okay, what if I create a YouTube video with this? And so at the time, being a new mom, my sister was visiting me, and she was like, let's create a YouTube video. So we got started, got the tripod set up, and we made our first video. And as I was getting dressed to make that video, I was looking in the mirror, and God started to speak to me. And he was telling me at the end of the video, tell the moms that they can email you for the scriptures you use during birth and the affirmations. And so I did it. At first I was like, okay, why is God talking to me about a YouTube video? So I did it. I did the video. At the end, I asked the moms if they wanted the scriptures that I used during childbirth to email me. And I think the next day I had like 14 emails. And so he began to talk to me about, I want you to share your motherhood journey online. And so that's how I got started.
Man, that's an awesome story. That's an awesome story. And the name of, I guess, just of your brand and your movement is Everyday with Kay Hughes, correct?
Yes, Everyday with Kay Hughes.
And as I reflect back to 3 years ago, you was talking about like the scarcity of essential products at the time. Like we were out of tissue. People were running out of bottled water.
Yes.
And we know how important diapers are on it. When you're raising a child, I got 2 sons myself, me and my wife. So yeah, I mean, that was just a dope idea, just a spur of the moment idea that actually worked out great. Yes. And it's something that everyone can learn from and need. Like, that's a necessity.
Absolutely.
So you spoke about you going to Morris, which is a HBCU here in South Carolina, one of our many. Can you describe your college experience of just attending and being enlisted at a HBCU?
Yes. So probably the middle of my senior year in high school, I decided to go to an HBCU. That summer, I went to a conference with my church, and the speaker was a successful businessman who went to Benedict College. And he was talking about his HBCU experience, and then as well as I had a family member and my uncle who went to HBCU. So I was like, wow. So I left that conference and I started researching HBCUs. And so actually I started at Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte. And I was there a few weeks and it just did not work out. And so my family came and packed me up, and my uncle called me and he was like, well, Morris College has availability. You can come here. He's like, if you don't like it, you can transfer next semester. So I was sad, I was upset because it wasn't my choice at the time.
Yeah.
And so I went there and I had a great college experience. I will say that Morris College has shaped me into the woman I am today. So many professors and so many advisors and so many angels, I'll say, who helped nurture me and foster me into the woman I am. So love the experience at Morris, forever grateful and thankful for it.
So it just sounds like you had a very valuable experience that started from a very negative experience at one of our HBCUs here in Charlotte, and you really learned a lot. So for people that may not know, I see your wristband popping.
Yes.
They don't know about your AKA. So why did you choose Alpha Kappa Alpha?
So when I was at Morris, what I loved is the small environment. At that time, I didn't realize how I needed the small college experience. And so when I got to Morris, you see the Greek life there. And so, funny story, I actually went to college one year with my uncle. He was a senior and I was a freshman. And so I remember, I had no idea, but I remember I went outside to the basketball court one night, and all the Greeks were there and everybody was there. And my uncle came out alpha. He was number 8 off his line. And so I think about my upbringing at my home church. There were AKAs in my church who would mentor me, and they helped me along the way, and just loved on me. It was Deltas too, but it was the AKAs who mentored me and nurtured on me. And so when my uncle became an alpha, that was the first thing that really got my eye on it. And I was like, okay. So that was really important to me because he was a major influence in my life. And so that's what made me want to do it. I looked at their beliefs and it just matched with my beliefs and where I wanted to go as a woman, as a Black professional. And so, yeah, that's why I took that initiative. So funny story is my uncle was number 8 off his line, and I also was number 8 off my line.
That's dope.
Yeah, so
that's dope. That must mean it was God given.
Yes.
It was meant to be.
Yes.
Okay, so people don't know that you actually are a professional educator. Mm-hmm. So we're going to transition a little bit, Ms. Hughes.
Okay.
Why did you choose to pursue a career in education?
Okay, so with education, when I went to Morris, my intentions were to either become a history teacher or a news anchor. That was my plan. And so initially, when I graduated from Morris, I didn't have my teacher's license. I graduated with a history degree versus a elementary education degree.
Oh, okay.
And so I knew that I immediately wanted to get my master's. So when I went to get my master's at South Carolina State University, that's when I got my my education degree. So I'm certified for pre-K through 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
And what really inspired me to become an educator is I thought it was something within me that I can plant within our children. I just wanted to make a difference in my community. I wanted to make a difference in our children especially. And I just felt like this is the path that God has for me. I know there's something in me. I have a voice and I have a purpose for educating.
That's dope. And I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now, just the way that you're so well versed, I can definitely see you as a news anchor on Channel 4, Channel 7 here in our Carolina news channels.
You think they'll give me a job?
Yeah, man. I think they would, actually. I think they would. With your education as well and just how well you are able with words, definitely.
Thank you.
All right, so just to touch on a little bit more just why you've been educated, because I know you actually did teach, you did pursue that professionally as well, and you got some experience in it. So what is the biggest impact that you feel like you made, when you were, I guess, while you were an educator?
Okay. That's a good question. So I think about it this way. I knew probably my sophomore year, okay, a part of my purpose is to educate.
Definitely.
And when you learn your purpose or a part of it, God show you a snippet of it, you can't deprive from it. It's going to show up wherever you go.
Yeah.
And so I'll say one of my strengths as a teacher is, if you were to come in my classroom at that time, I was very creative with activities. I was creative with how I presented the lesson to my students. So now on my platform, Everyday with Hughes, I share mom hacks, products, and activities.
Yeah.
When you translate that, activities,
Yes.
I'm translating what I used to do in the classroom.
Exactly.
So that's why, I'm always sharing activities I'm doing with my son, or products that I'm using, or places that we're going that can really be field trips.
Yeah.
So I think those things just translate over throughout your purpose.
And it just sounds like you really got a gift with engagement, just based off what you just explained. So that's dope, man. Okay, so right now we're finna get into our popular segment. It's our urban suggestion, and with this being the season 3 being about urban leaders, I do have a question for you that I want you to answer, Mr. Hughes.
Okay.
With the influx of women leaders, just sprouting every day, because it's way different than how it was when we were coming up in the 90s, because we both
Yes.
are 90s babies, correct?
Yes.
All right, so what are some important qualities that women in leadership roles must have and display in order to be successful or be deemed as successful?
That's really good. To be successful as a leader, a black woman, female leader, I will say is one, know who you are. I think we're in a season in the professional world where you can either not allow your light to shine, dim your light as a woman, or you can allow your skills and talents to display. So I think it's really important to be who you are. I'm really big on that. As an educator, the schools I worked in, I was always who I am. So I'll say, black leaders, be who you are. Don't back down from what you believe. I'll say stand your ground as a female leader. And always be open to new opportunities. Being optimistic, I'll say, because with me, I'll say with education, I'm still doing education, is just not in a classroom setting per se.
It's not the
traditional way.
Yeah, exactly.
So my journey has always centered around education. For example, I was a classroom teacher, and then when I stopped being a classroom teacher, I became the executive director for a nonprofit. That nonprofit was geared towards inner city youth in Columbia. So then after I did that, I worked on the college level. So again, working with young people, working with education. And then now I work in education technology. So same thing, dealing with children, dealing with education, dealing with our youth, and educating others, as well as my platform.
Cool.
So still educating.
So basically, know who you are, stay optimistic.
Yes.
Stand your ground.
Yes.
3 essential keys, man. I learned that for myself as well, and I'm not a female. I'm actually a male, and those lessons that you just displayed is something that anyone can take with them and use. All right, so as I described when I introduced you, Ms. Hughes, you are a wife first, and you're a mother as well first.
Yes.
Those are your 2 roles, life roles that are first, and I'm pretty sure number 1 priority.
Yes.
So what are some daily obstacles you overcome when balancing the roles of just a wife, mother, educator, business professional? And be as honest, it's okay. Be as honest. We want to relate to you.
So I think my thing is getting rid of unbelievable expectations.
Yes.
I'll say our lives shift so much when we welcomed our son. So my husband has been self-employed since the age of 23. So, and also he's the only child. So it's like, we were used to it being us. This is how we roll. This is how we do things. And then you have a little one and it's like, okay, I don't have an hour to do what I used to do. I now got 30 minutes or 20 minutes. How can I make this work? So I'll say one thing I do is I write things down. I know paper's old school, but I write down my top 3 goals every day, what I want to accomplish. When I sit down on Sunday, I make a list of everything I need to do for the week, and then I chop it down. So I'll say, okay, I'm doing this on Monday, this Tuesday, this Wednesday, instead of me trying to do all of it in one day. I think that's really important, and being okay with your schedule being adjusted.
Being versatile.
Yes, being very versatile.
I had to learn the same thing.
Especially having a little one, being versatile and being intentional in your marriage too. Like my husband and I, we're real big on date night. We're real big on it. We try to have that a long time without our son. I know some people, they'll say, when you have children, you may not go on this many dates, but we're adamant about it. I think that's really, really important, is choosing each other over and over.
And I feel like what you're saying, just based on the relationship standpoint, is key because you kind of forget yourself or lose yourself. Well, a person could forget or lose themselves when you're getting so tied up as being a mother or a father, and that's all you do because you know you want to see that be so successful. Like you want to be so successful and having that goal of just being a great dad or a great mom, and just making sure that you keep the first role, which is yourself, which is quite a role, which is me, myself, book, first and foremost, who you know what I mean, who I was prior to becoming a parent.
A parent, yes.
You know what I mean? That's key. It's really key. All right, so let's just touch on real quick because I watched a lot of your videos when pregnant. Like I do my research. Yes. So I watched a lot of your videos on YouTube that you had posted, a lot of your content, just based on I see where you had Kobe, your son, during the pandemic. And one of the first videos, and I know I got a lot of views, was just you sharing the experience of you just, you know, you and your husband going through the birth of you guys' son during the pandemic. Can you describe that real quick and just if there's anything that you've learned?
Yes. So I'm gonna tell a little backstory. So at the time I was a teacher, and so I knew, okay, 39 weeks, time to take maternity leave. So I actually put in my maternity leave at work, and something told me to go back and change it. So I actually changed it. And so then I think it was a Friday. It was a Friday. I put all my sub plans out for my students. At the time I was teaching first grade. I put the sub plans out, you know, had everything in set up for the teacher. You know, I'm about to go on maternity leave, I'm having a baby. Also, my husband and I had discussed about me not returning to education. So we said, all right, I'm gonna stay home for a while and just figure out what's my next, but just enjoy being a mom. So we had kind of set things up to do that. Thank God we were able to do that, but we kind of just set things up. And I knew, all right, I'm leaving teaching for good, pretty much. And I'm also about to leave out of here and in 1 week probably be a mom. So I left out the classroom. On the board, I put today is Monday, March 16th, 2020. On Sunday, we were at my aunt's birthday celebration, and everyone looked at their phones. They had all got the message that the schools were shutting down in South Carolina. So that was the start of the pandemic. And I remember it was like 50 people at the party and everybody like, you know, wow, what does this COVID mean? You know, no mask because first event, right?
I mean, like people never even heard
first event. So we were there at the party. So Monday, I didn't return to work. Of course, that was my first day of maternity leave, and my students didn't return. So that was the first day of the pandemic. So from that first day, my husband was like, look, I'm watching the news. I don't know what's going on. Just stay home. So I literally stayed home until it was time to go to the hospital, till my water broke. So I would just get out the house and try to walk. We were watching the news. We didn't know what to expect. So the day my water broke was that Saturday, day 6 of the pandemic, basically. So the water broke, and that's when they briefly started talking about masks on the news, but they weren't mandated. So we was like, a mask, we gotta go to the hospital. How can we cover our face? So I think I went into our garage, and just so happened we had like 2 of those white lawnmower masks. I was like, okay, I'm headed to the hospital.
That's all you got, you know?
So we pulled up there. As you can imagine, it was just a lot. It was cars everywhere, people everywhere, and I remember sitting in the car on the passenger side. My husband was like, you stay here, I'm gonna go tell him, you know, that you're in labor. So I'm in the car, and people were looking at me like they were like zombies. They was looking at me like, just making sure I wasn't a COVID patient, because they had the white tents. So we literally went in the waiting room. Not one person was in there. They had them cleared because they wanted the people to report to the tents first before they bring them in. And then where the COVID cases was above the baby floor out of all places. Wow. So we went in. At that time, they literally kept changing things like every hour. They were coming into our room with new updates. The doctor didn't deliver a baby with the mask on because masks weren't mandated. At the time. And funny thing is, the doctor was from Greenwood.
That is crazy.
So he was in Columbia. He was like, yeah, I went to Greenwood High. The doctor told us that. So birthing experience, I had a doula, and the doula was a referral to me. So I had met her when I was 6 months. So of course they told us no family in the hospital, and she kind of became like our family because we had been talking with her for the past 6 months. So I'm like, okay, I feel safe because you're here to advocate for me during this scary time. So we actually didn't stay at the hospital the whole entire time. We left as soon as the doctor said I was cleared because it was getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we got home.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, it honestly sounds like a lot, but it also, I mean, just from listening to your story, Ms. Hughes, like it really sounds very divine. Just as from the beginning where you said that, and that it was meant to be because it was meant to work out that way. That's what I mean by meant to be, because when you placed in your leave, like 6 days later, like the next day, like the following week, everyone was out. Like everything was closed. Like schools, businesses was starting to shut down, so on and so forth. If it wasn't essential, and 6 days later you had a baby. Like it's crazy. You had COVID. So you painted a little bit of the picture, and it's just crazy to hear, like, from when you were describing your story, when you say everyone was looking at you as like a zombie. You know what I mean? Everything and everybody was looking like zombies, and they were scared of you. You were scared of them. Like, can you describe or just explain if you had any anxiety during that time? Because, like, the first thing that would have went on in my mind, because I trip sometimes. You know what I mean? Like everybody, we all do it. Like, okay, so we got this plague of sickness that just got to our country, got to our area, and I have to go to the hospital in order to, to get my baby delivered. And so that's where all the sick people at, you know what I mean? So can you describe or explain any type of anxiety that you went through, or you and your husband may have shared, or if it was any?
I think for me, I was just so honed into like having our son. Yeah. My husband, a husband is a protector, and my husband protects our family. So he's like, I just got to get my family home. He's thinking like along those lines. So it was actually his idea. Like once I was clear, like, can we leave early? Because he was keeping up with the news. He was just watching the nurses. I mean, everybody there was great, but he was just more in tune to like, okay, what's going on in the hospital that I couldn't see outside of the room. So I think in our minds, we was like, okay, we can just get home safe with our baby. We're good. Definitely. In the walls of our house, we can stay there for 3 to 5 years if we have to. If we can just get to our house to be safe, because we don't know what's going on with the pandemic. So.
No, that's great. That's great. And like as you explained, like I would have been in the same shoes if I was, in that situation as a father to get ready to get his child delivered. Let's just get out of here. Yes. let's get this done.
Let's go.
Let's lock in. Let's get it done. Let's get out of here. So yeah, I definitely understand, man. All right, so I know you spoke on your brand Everyday with K Hughes.
Yes.
What can people expect when they go visit your webpage, go view your content? I know you spoke about it a little bit, just education and activities for mothers, and also products as well that you refer. But what all can they expect?
Okay. So Everyday with K Hughes is a safe place for moms to connect, women alike to connect. So on social media, on my platforms, I offer mom hacks, products, and activities. But God is so amazing, so I kind of branched out a little bit. I'm now doing some one-on-one consulting with people who kind of want to build their brand or want to learn social media hacks for their business and just how to navigate the platforms, because the platforms are constantly changing. So that's something too I offer is consulting services. I offer group services for organizations, businesses, or churches to also coach them on social media. And then also Everyday with K Hughes is just a place for moms to do life together. I have moms who've been with me from the start, and we just connect and watch each other's journey. And I think as parents, we have our different tasks, we have our different things that we participate in. But I think sometimes when you get on social media and you stroll, you have your creators that you always go to, who you can count on for a good laugh, or who can teach and educate you with something, who share something that's beneficial. I think as moms, we're so busy. When we see another mom share something that's helpful, that helped her, like, all right, I'm gonna get that.
Definitely.
So I think that makes a difference, just doing life with moms, but also providing resources for organizations and businesses.
That's dope. That's dope. And it's very valuable. And it just sounds like your brand and especially like your website and all your content. It's just a place where moms can come and be comfortable being a mom.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And learn more, man. And it's just very valuable. So we're getting close to the end, Ms. Hughes.
Okay.
We're getting to wrap up. I always ask my guests this one question.
Okay.
So I really need you to be as honest as you can be, because we really need it. Our state needs it. What's one thing you love and one thing you would change just about South Carolina and just our southern region as a whole?
Wow.
Yeah, what you got
That's
for
good. One thing I love about South Carolina and one thing I would change. I love the South. I call myself a Southern Belle.
Yep.
I am a Southern Belle. I love the South. I'll say staying in South Carolina post-graduation, I've been able to network and connect with some people. So I love the ability, just the closeness here. We're not a huge state, but we're able to connect with some people. And there's some really creative people here in South Carolina. So I really like that aspect. One thing I would change is just being open to new things in our state, but then also being open to new things in our state, but also receiving new things in our state, new ideas. I'll say sometimes I have been in spaces as a content creator or as a blogger, as a businesswoman, and there's not many people from South Carolina. Even coming into the creator space, you know, you see other cities and there's a large number of creators, and then South Carolina, maybe like one or two of us in the room. So yeah, I look forward to seeing more creators arise in South Carolina.
Yeah, and I can definitely agree with you. It does need to be more, so we have a better representation, a more honest representation of ourselves and our culture. So I have to agree with that, Ms. Hughes. All right, so as we wrap up, how can mothers, wives, and other professionals connect with you? What's your social media links? What's your website links? How can we find you?
Okay, so I am Everyday with K Hughes on all platforms. So that's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, my website, Facebook, Everyday with K Hughes. And that's just the letter K, so Everyday with K Hughes on all platforms. And also my email address, if you would like to email me, it is hello@everydaywithkhughes.com. And I look forward to meeting you, Mama.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So listen, we really enjoyed you being on our episode. Just describing your life experiences, just from like where you were from, where you went to college at, just describing that HBCU experience, man, that very authentic experience that you're gonna get at one place. Like what you're doing now, your brand, Everyday with K Hughes. Ms. Hughes, we really appreciate you. Thank you for coming by our show, and this has been Erban Topic. Would you like to say anything to the audience before we leave?
Okay, thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Until next time.
We out. Let's get it.
Bye.